Alaska Granny. I'm at a granny camp and I'm in my pop-up greenhouse and it's 80 in here. It's way warmer than it is outside. It's maybe 50 at the most and the wind is really howling, but it's not in here. I've managed to finally get it anchored down. It's protected and oh my goodness, it's nice and warm in here. So it seemed like a good idea to come inside and do my video from in here. So hopefully the wind is not so much and you can still hear what I have to say today. If you hear some of the planes going over, because it's super windy and the planes change directions how they land. You may not be aware that Alaska has one of the biggest cargo plane hubs in the world. Because of the way we're located, it's 13 hours to every major city in the world. And where do they fly through? Alaska. Everything doesn't come in a cargo ship. A lot of things that you get probably go right through Alaska on cargo planes. The cargo isn't all coming here. Most of our stuff comes on barges out of the Tacoma area. Some of it I'm sure does come on the planes. Cargo planes going through Alaska are bringing a lot of stuff to the lower 48 from many other places in the world. Sadly, what I want to talk about today are the food shortages, the rising prices. The gasoline prices are skyrocketing, and if you've been into the store lately, you know there are shortages. Prices are going crazy, and in some instances, they're even putting limits on what you're allowed to buy. If you have a baby or anyone in your family does, and your child requires some formula, then you of course know that formula is in very short supply. I'm not really sure why that particular food item should be in short supply. I know that they did some recalls earlier in the year because I don't think it would be something that would be, say, imported from China. We wouldn't trust them with our baby formula, but who knows? Years ago in China, they were putting melamine, which is a chemical. They were putting melamine in their own baby's formula. That is something they make dishes out of. And so if they won't even care about their own babies, there's no way we would buy imported formula. Yes, it's nice, breast is best if you can breastfeed your baby, but that isn't possible for everyone. Some children are not able to nurse, some mothers are not able to provide the milk, sometimes there are latching problems. There are all kinds of reasons why you might need formula for your baby. Plus you might want it as a backup even if the mother and the child should be separated for some unforeseen reason. So having formula and the ability to feed your infant is a very concerning problem for many mothers. I can't even imagine not being able to get the food that you need for our most vulnerable little babies. I know when I looked in the store the last time I went, they had hardly any. It was all under lock and key, practically empty, and there are limits. So my heart goes out to young mothers. There's already enough challenges and stresses dealing with a newborn baby without having to worry that you can't get the food that you need. Rationing isn't just with baby formula. I happen to be looking for some more pool shock, which is something you can use to purify water. It's not as readily available to purchase that in Alaska simply because we don't have all the swimming pools that they do in other places. And even if people have hot tubs, you may not use pool shock. I don't know. Recently at Fred Meyer's, which is a part of Kroger, they had one little tiny section where they had pool supplies. And then it said limit 2. And I'm thinking you hardly have more than maybe 8. Limit 2? That's not going to help very many people be able to have the supplies that they need. Perhaps you are finding bigger problems trying to find the chlorine or the chemicals that you need for your pools, and you know they're good for pool shock. Is also useful for water purification. You can mix it up and make gallons of bleach, and then you can have more bleach on hand than just storing big bottles. One of the problems though with storing the pool shock is it is a chemical. You need to store it in an airtight container and it doesn't last forever. I had some stored for several years in a very airtight container and it actually like exploded inside the container. And also then it gives off gases. You don't ever want to store it in your house. You want to be sure that you store it away from any of your food. I had some also that I had stored in a cabinet in my garage, and somehow it leached out a little bit, and there were other things in there that it definitely affected the other items that I had stored in that cabinet. That you have to be very careful when you're storing chemicals. The price of gasoline is going up. I've been surprised that it's been staying steady for a little bit of time, but all of a sudden yesterday it went up 10 cents a gallon at every gas station. I was shocked that it went up so much. But it's still lower in Alaska than it is in some of the states in the lower 48, which I'm thankful for that, because a lot of other things are far more expensive here. So, you know, there is no one perfect place that's the least expensive to get everything. We all have challenges wherever we live. If you pay any attention, the stock market has been rising and dropping, and now it is dropping. And I think I read it had been down overall 17% for this year so far. But that doesn't mean every single stock is down. Some stocks are still up. Some stocks are still paying dividends, and others have dramatically dropped more than that. While it may not affect you if you don't have anything invested, it also affects the overall businesses, the things that are available, and it is a sign of gloom and doom for our economy. The stock market is an indicator of how our finances are doing and where our financial future might be headed. You combine that with the crazy news of everybody seems to be rattling sabers and wanting to get into a world war. I have no idea why anyone would think it's a great idea to get into a world war. The average person is not interested in that, and so you have to wonder if some of the government leaders and some of the big businesses are into it for financial gain. It's concerning for me. No one wants people suffering anywhere in the world, but we're doing some suffering here at home. We need to take care of some of our problems before we worry about other people's issues. There are renewed lockdowns in China. I don't know if it has to do with COVID or not. I just know that the results are people are locked down. I think 1/4 of all of the shipping comes through Shanghai. It's a very important port, whether we want things from China or not. It affects so many corners of our economy, of the things that we need, the supply chains. We have the raw materials, the medicines, the ingredients to make medicines. We are so dependent on many of the things that come from China that this is a concern going forward. We're going to continue to see more shortages. The problems go through logistics centers, through production operations, and into shipping. And the cargo ships, it's having a huge effect on the shipping that we require from all over the world. It can seem like gloom and doom, but it doesn't have to be, because we are aware that there are problems. We're going to always face problems, and there may not be much that we can do about it, but as an individual, you can prepare. You can get the things that you and your family rely on and have a stockpile for yourself. Don't be reliant on someone else to bring it to the store so that future you can go and purchase it at much higher prices. Now is the time that you want to make sure you have a stockpile of the things that you require, because then you have your own storehouse. You have your prepping stockpile. You can shop in your stockpile. You don't have to go to the store to find out that they don't have the basic things you want, because you have a load of them put away with your prepping supplies. It's not too late to fill your prepper pantry with long-lasting foods that are versatile and useful. And these are the foods that I'm making sure that I'm stocking up now, because they are in shorter supply. I already have many of these food items, but I don't want to run out in the future. They're becoming harder to find. They're putting limits on food, and the prices are skyrocketing. So my suggestion to you is stock up on these same items too, if they're foods that you enjoy eating. I'm stocking up on pasta. pasta sauces, rice, rice mixes, dry beans, and canned beans, canned soups, cans of meat, and meat meals in cans, things like ravioli, chili, beef stew, tomato products, and oil. Whatever are the oils that you use in your cooking, you want to make sure that you have some extra. All of these items are becoming increasingly difficult to find. They're in short supply, and sometimes I go to the store, they don't have any of these food items. And then when I can find them, the prices have gone up dramatically. Some of these food items, I've noticed the food prices have gone up 50%, and some of them have doubled in price in the last year. If that continues to happen year over year, will you still be able to afford a can of meat? They're culling chickens left and right because of this bird flu. Will there even be chicken available in the future? Those are the questions you need to ask yourself. If there are foods you depend on and you can still afford to get some of them, stockpile now because they may not be available in the future. Leave in the comments below, what are the items that you're having problems finding? What are they limiting, rationing? What are the prices that have gone up the most on the products that you're looking for? We can still get a lot of the prepper pantry foods that we want, the prepping supplies that we need, and so let this be a warning to you. If the mainstream media is telling you shortages are here, prices are going up, there could be panic buying soon for the people who have not prepared at all. If you enjoyed my video, I hope you'll share it with someone else you think might like it. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.